Hey guys, so I'm here with a very good friend of mine.
Steve Squitiro.
Steve owns the Piermont, the James, Arlo, and the what's that called again?
The Standard
The
at North
Standard.
Shore.
That's it.
Yeah, the Temple.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just had a great podcast, and you guys should definitely have a listen. So Steve, you own Arlo in Northport. You own the James, the new James, which is the old carriage house in Babylon.
Yep.
And you own the Piermont. Is there anything
Correct.
else you got going on?
I have a synagogue in Syosset that is predominantly bar and bat mitzvahs.
Oh, okay.
For the not just the client, not the membership of the temple, but outside too. We can bring anybody in.
Okay. Now, how did you start? You weren't just handed all that stuff.
No.
What was your occupation to bring you to that level?
I went to college in '89 for biology, and I went to Southampton, Long Island University. Back then, it was a campus out there.
Okay.
And I started working, had to work through college because, I'm the son of a plumber.
Right.
And I had to work my way through
I didn't know
college.
that you were son of a plumber.
Yeah, my dad's a plumber. Yeah.
Son of a plumber.
Yeah.
Sounds funny.
It's an inside joke. And and I worked at all the nightclubs out there in the Hamptons. Valet, for everything from valet parking to dishwashing to bar backing.
Right.
For the years I was out there. So I just kind of took to the industry.
Right.
And when I got back from school, I decided to, I was landscaping.
Right.
Like every Deer Park kid does throughout high school.
Right.
And we went to, I went to John Anthony's as a side job.
Right. Which is the old
which is the Piermont now. Which is Piermont now.
Right.
And I got a side job there.
Right.
And just kind of didn't think much of it. It was just a job, and then I kind of just took to it. So I gradually moved up the ranks as
So you started what, waitering?
as a busboy.
As a busboy.
My first shift there was a busboy.
At John Anthony's, which is now the Piermont
Yeah.
that you own.
Yeah. And I was at that not for long as a busboy, a couple weeks, and then
Right.
waiter,
Right.
and then right to management from being a waiter. Just at the right time, they needed. I kind of just took to the business.
So your boss probably saw that you're like a people person.
Yeah, he
And you
saw
had that skill.
and it was different back then. There was no labor laws protecting us, so we worked for $50 a shift,
And we'll hope for tips.
and we would work 20, but 15, 17-hour days on the weekends, and it was brutal.
Wow.
But we developed like a camaraderie, like a family,
Right.
within the staff, and everybody got really close, and it was just turned into like a way of life, so to speak. And I just took to it, and then started making money, and then moving up.
Now that staff that you became close with, did you take a lot of them with you with your other endeavors? They help run different things that you have?
I worked at John Anthony's
Relationships.
until '99.
Okay.
The end of '99. I moved on and went to a building. It's a complicated story, but if you guys know the history of John Anthony's, Coco's, Harbor Club, and then the Vanderbilt,
They were all owned by the
which
same
was
people?
owned by the same guy. And he had lost the Vanderbilt in bankruptcy, really before it even opened. It was so over budget. So I left, and the guy that bought the Vanderbilt actually called me up and said, I was recommended, you're looking for a job, this building, because I did. We built it.
Right.
So I went and worked for them for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I just decided it was time for me to move on. I wanted to try the city out. So I moved into the city 3 weeks before 9/11.
Right.
And that was my welcome to New York moment when I got there. I lived right there.
So
right
you
down
took a
the-
risk and then you got your ass kicked.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
hammered.
Yeah.
yeah. And there was no jobs. I didn't know anybody in the city.
Right.
I didn't have a job lined up.
Right.
But I had some money. I was like, all right, I could
Suffice.
find a job. I mean, I had good experience, so I thought.
Right.
And then that happened, and it was scary. There was no jobs. So, but the one thing about being in the city at that time was the unity of New York
Everyone
City.
came together.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
It was just one. It was one people for 4 or 5 months after that event. That it was a pretty amazing experience. to be part
Giuliani
of
was
it.
the mayor.
Well,
then,
he
right?
was until November, and
Until
then
November, right?
Bloomberg won.
Right.
Well, he was termed out. Giuliani.
Right. Okay.
He tried to stay in, but they were like, no.
Yeah, no.
Bloomberg won, and that was it.
So basically, You went through that hardship, you figured out, and then did you still stay in Manhattan?
Yeah, I
or-
stayed. Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
stayed in February of 22. I finally got a job at Capital, which was a big old building that they were turning into an event space.
Okay.
So I got
Of
that
2000,
job.
2002?
2002.
Okay.
Yeah. So we opened up Capital Restaurant Catering Hall.
Now at that time, you're not waitering anymore. You're managing.
No, I was hired as an operational manager. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was 32, I think.
I always tell kids that's such a cool job because how many like famous
31.
people, sports people did you meet?
Oh yeah.
during that
wild,
time,
bro.
like
wild.
and
I
like
mean,
you could have nights where you could probably make a lot of money in tips, and then maybe some off nights too.
Yeah,
but-
I wasn't working on tips. I
Right.
was on salary. The staff was, but yes, New York City.
well, I mean for the kids,
Yeah.
to get jobs. I always encourage them
Yeah.
to work in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, it's fast money.
Yeah,
The Capital was a big, high-profile place.
right.
It was like a Cipriani's, same kind of building.
Concept, yeah.
Yeah, and high end. So we did tons of celebrity events, all kinds. I mean, from Jorge Posada Foundation to Elton John performed there, Rolling Stones. So it was pretty wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you got introduced to a lot of
a
people.
lot of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people.
So now, as that's progressing, then where do you go?
Then in 06, the guy that actually hired me at Capital wanted, he had left and moved on, so I assumed his general manager position at Capital. Then he got a job at Buddha Bar, the famous Parisian restaurant.
Okay. That's also Manhattan?
It was the first one in New York,
wow.
first one in the States.
Wow.
They have different countries, and this was the first one. It was very intense. You've heard about it for years and years. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, let's do it. So I left Capital and built out Buddha Bar from the ground up. I walked in, it was dirt on the floor. And it was on Little West 12th Street in the Meatpacking District.
Okay.
And this is in 06, before it was really starting to
Right.
gain traction down there.
But that's when nightclubs really probably at their peak, right? Just around then?
The peak, yeah.
'Cause I started
almost
bouncing
the
around
death
that.
rattle.
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh, really?
The beginning of the death rattle of the nightclub.
Because that's when I started working in the nightclubs,
Yeah.
about 06.
Yeah.
But never really Manhattan. I always did Hamptons and the Island.
Yeah, I would say nightclubs in Manhattan died in mid-teens.
Mid-teens.
And that was it.
And that was
yeah,
it.
it was done.
So then how'd you roll with that?
I stayed in Buddha Bar for 3 years, I guess.
Was it a restaurant bar?
It was a lounge restaurant, yeah. 17,000 square feet.
Wow.
Huge.
Wow.
Big operation. Huge operation. And it would do
How many people were staffed in a night in in a place like that?
75, 800.
Yeah.
I mean, it would do on a Friday. It doesn't exist anymore, so I could talk about this. But on a Friday, Saturday night, it'd do like 150 grand
Holy shit.
in ringing.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was wild.
What was it like getting people to show up for work then? Was it easier, harder?
It was. It's always been a challenge.
Always a challenge.
in this industry.
Right.
My industry is, an endearing term is misfits.
Right.
There are a bunch of people that didn't like school. The things that we talk about.
Right.
Didn't fit in anywhere else and kind of gravitated to this industry of what I call misfits.
Right.
And everybody kind of gets along.
But they find
around
like their niche and then excel.
Yeah.
So that's
and some people stay in that hamster wheel of service staff and don't get out of it.
Right.
And some of them go on to make great livings being waiters. I mean,
Right.
the waiters at my restaurants, my 2 restaurants, they make thousands of dollars a week.
Yeah.
I mean, just hundreds of dollars off each tables because the tickets are high and
They're getting a
people are
percentage
having a
of it.
good time and
Yep.
they tip well.
and they want
high-end
them to
clients.
be remembered. You remember?
Yeah. Then they come back, they create a following. But the whole family unity of the hospitality industry is something that people like. They kind of fall into it,
Right.
and then make a career out of it.
Nah, that's
And
awesome.
Some go to management, some don't. A lot of drugs, a lot of drinking problems.
Yeah.
So the help is
Questionable
sketchy
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
I get it.
Sometimes.
Well, not everybody knows this. We'll tell them now, but you host every meeting we have for our charity at the Piermont, and you put out a spread of food, then coffee, cookies, and cake afterwards. And we can't thank you enough for that.
It's
and
my
we loved
pleasure.
it. Right away when I called you, and I remember I asked about when's a good time to have a charity dinner, and you said, is the board full? I said, no, you wanted to be a part of it, and you've been such a huge help to us with
It's
it.
my pleasure.
But obviously
for the kids.
it's something that resonates with you because this is where you came from.
Yeah.
School
was not for me. It was a waste of time. I should have went into the military. Is what I should have.
Well, it wasn't your mold, right? It's the
Wasn't
mold
for
for
me.
some,
No.
but
Yeah,
wasn't the
not
mold
for
for
me.
you, wasn't the mold for me
Right.
either. And, look how...
I did it to make my parents happy.
Right. Well, me too.
Yeah.
And you were my parents.
Yeah.
So, but, look how far you've come just by
It wasn't
hard
easy,
work and
brother.
dedication.
It was not easy.
Well, that's why we have this podcast. We talk. It's Inside the Mind Success, so people see what you have. They see you have the James, and you just open that, and you have Arlo, and you have all these things, but no one knows how you got there.
Yeah.
Then people say, "Oh, maybe someone gave it to him. Maybe someone." This is the story.
Yeah.
So this is why it's important.
When the recession hit, and that's really when
I want to talk
Buddha
about that.
started to crumble a little bit.
Yeah.
There was infighting within the organization. There's a couple different entities involved in that.
Right.
And they just got ahead. Everybody, it was so successful that
Right.
it was really a victim of success.
You're talking about
Place.
08?
Buddha Bar, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Buddha Bar specifically was a victim of its own success and infighting within who's responsible for the success.
It crumbled.
And, there was royalties supposed to go back to Paris to
wow.
the mother company, and they kind of threw them out, and there was a big legal battle.
Wow.
So, and then I was like, all right, let me get the hell out of here.
Well, greed
I don't
is
want-
a terrible thing.
Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. And ego.
Yes.
Ego.
Well,
in
then,
my industry,
what'd you do
ego.
after that? Where'd you go?
I went to lease another building to start my own thing in 2000 and I think it was 8.
Okay.
I think it was 8. And you guys may remember, you might remember this, the cranes that fell in the city. There was 2, that's one in March and one in June.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, one of those cranes fell from 49th Street and landed on 51st Street. 7 people died.
Oh my God.
And I leased a building right around the corner from there.
Oh my
Right.
God.
So the guy that owned that building also owned the building that the actual cab of the crane that came off the building.
Right.
You remember that? That landed actually on this guy's building.
Oh my.
His mom was not home, but she was living in the building at the time. It salted the whole deal. The whole thing. He was like, I'm not doing anything. Blah,
Right.
blah, blah. So I was like, fuck.
Right.
Great. This was like, I was raising money. I was going to start my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Larry tells me, you know what? Just come out to Long Island for the summer. Figure out what you want to do. Spend the summer out here. And we'll figure it out.
Right.
And that's when I came out here and I ran into some old friends. And one thing led to another. I went to a place and that's where I met my wife.
Right.
And once I met my wife,
Was that Bethpage?
no, it was out east.
Out
At a
east.
restaurant out east.
Okay.
I was doing a little consulting job for somebody.
Okay.
Just kind of taking the summer off. First time in 20 years that I actually had some time off. And I was just kind of figuring out what the hell I want to do.
Right.
And then I ran into my wife. And then the rest is history. I
that's
mean,
it.
we stayed out here. Got rid of my apartment in the city. And we got married 2 years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And started everything in 2017. I was working for other people.
Right.
Going up to 15 when I started looking for that opportunity for myself to
Right.
get into my own business because I was tired of working.
So when did the opportunity arise for the Piermont to be purchased?
The opportunity arrived.
Now, was that the first purchase? That's before
That's the
Arlo.
first
That's
purchase,
before the
yeah.
James, obviously.
Actually, the first purchase.
Right.
Yes. The way it came about was I was at Carlisle on the Green at Bethpage State Park, and I was showing a client around, and he owned, Francesco's on John Street.
Yeah.
Frank.
Okay.
And it was his daughter's wedding he was shopping for. So we were talking. We had some friends in common. And he told me that the John Anthony's or Venetian at the time was possibly for sale. I was like, really?
Through the grapevine.
Through the grapevine.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And I went down there a couple days later, left my business card at the front desk, and the guy called me a couple days later. So we set up an appointment. And at first he was like, $10 million, like some crazy number. I'm
Right.
like, I'm not fucking paying $10 million.
Right.
That's too much.
Right.
And we went through a couple different negotiations over the next 6 months. He wasn't really in a position. He had some internal issues he was dealing with his
there's
brother.
there's a limited amount of people that would be interested in buying
Yes,
something.
it's a
like
very
that, right?
limited amount.
Yeah,
of
so
people.
you're really
Yeah.
specializing.
Yeah. It's not something that people would just go into.
And you knew that, obviously.
Yeah, and I knew the building had great bones and great history from John Anthony's, because John Anthony's was a machine.
Right.
In the '90s, it was the place to be.
Right.
To get wedded, to have your wedding.
Right.
So I continued to have dialogue with this guy, George, and he finally relented in 2017. I think some of his issues with his brother were starting to settle down.
Okay.
The business was floundering.
Right.
It got totaled during Sandy. He rebuilt it, but I don't think he ever really had the heart after that, whether he made his money or whatever the reason
Right. Was he an older guy or
yeah, probably
older than
65,
us?
something like that, but very successful.
Right.
Good guy. But he's a
Probably
city
been
guy.
kicked many times and rebuild, and it's probably just done.
He was just, I think he was just kind of done.
Right.
And he was a city guy, so this was his only Long Island operation.
Right.
So it took a couple of meetings to finally get to the point where he agreed to lease it to me, and with an option to buy. We set a price.
Okay.
And he had money. There was all kinds of money going back and forth. He had deposits that we worked off rent, blah, blah, blah. Saved all this money up, renovated it, and in August of the following year, I bought the building. Along with Arlo property.
Of 19.
Of 18.
Of 18.
Yeah.
So that was like a package deal?
Yeah, 2 at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was another catering venue.
It was a smaller catering venue. At the
Which is
time,
now it's strictly restaurant.
just a restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Well, it does catering, but just a restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a high-end steakhouse.
So now you finally get your dream and your
and it
all
was
your
a
years
dream.
of risk.
When I started my career at that.
So you're basically working at the place you started, or you own the place
Yes.
that you started. So now it's 2018. Fast forward a couple of years. You know, was it hard to pick back up, or was it starting to really start to flow right away?
It started to flow right away because because it's such a great spot, as you
Right.
know.
No, it's beautiful.
I
It's
did
right
the
on the water.
renovation
Yeah.
right away. I did it. My friends helped me out. All the guys I grew up with, everybody that was in the industry. You know, everybody helps.
Yeah.
Takes a village, right?
Right.
And I got it done at a good price, and it just blew up. People loved it, the way it was, the modernness of it, the windows, just the location is sick.
Right.
For weddings, it's just an amazing location. So it really just took off.
Now, while you're building up the Piermont, is the Arlo what's now
Just
Arlo?
sitting
It was
there.
just sitting,
Just empty buildings.
just empty
sitting
building.
there.
So you basically had to generate income and get some more savings together from
Correct.
Piermont,
Yeah.
and then hope to build Arlo.
And then I was, maybe 20, 21, but we all know what happened in 20.
Right, COVID. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
We don't have to get into the particulars. I know most of the particulars already.
Yeah.
But I think it's so fascinating because a lot of people, I don't want to sound mean, but were forced to kind of roll over and die.
Yeah.
And you obviously don't have that personality.
No.
Because
I
now
wasn't
here you
about
are with
to.
a catering hall
Yeah.
where you can't have weddings. So
It was,
figure it out, right?
Yeah, with a debt.
With a debt.
$5.5 million loan.
Absolutely.
To
That he could
service.
take back technically. Now, did he
That,
hold
yeah.
the note or you had a bank loan?
No, I had a bank.
Right.
No, we bought it
Right.
straight out.
Right.
He held a little bit of paper, but
Right.
yeah,
Well, same
it was through-
thing when I
through a
bought
loan.
this building, so I totally get it.
You know how it works.
So now, can you? How did that all transpire? Like, there must have been like, I don't know what the best word to say is. Just give up.
Yeah, no. My partner, Andrew, who I've been with since 2011.
Andrew's awesome.
Andrew's awesome.
Yeah.
He's an incredible talent. He's got great vision.
Right.
I've taught him how to be a builder.
Right.
He's really taken to the whole building out, and he's a great operator and a great guy. And we've been together for a long time, and we've never had a fight.
Right.
We just get along.
Right.
We play off each other, his weaknesses, my weaknesses. I mean, it's a perfect kind of marriage that we have.
Right.
And he was kind of more of a realist about what was coming down the pipe with this thing.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think you really understand.
Yeah.
If you're right, what this means to us.
Right.
This could be tragic. I mean, this could be right when we're starting.
Yeah.
This thing could just be over because of this.
Right.
And I remember the day my sister's a nurse in Stony Brook, and she calls me, and it was right before the shutdown. Mm-hmm. And I just cracked. I was like, fine. She's like, go home. Don't do this. Don't go outside. She's like freaking me out.
Oh, my God.
So I went back to the Piermont, and I said, you know what? Everybody's going home. Just
Right.
shut it down.
Right.
So I shut it down, and I remember standing by the walk-in box, and I was giving people like fruit and
don't
tomatoes
go to
and
waste.
lettuce, so because it was just going to go to waste. All the parties were canceled at this point.
Right.
We're just waiting to be locked down.
Right.
So I started giving out all this food to my staff. Go home. Here's a box of tomatoes. Go home.
Right.
And everybody left. And it was scary because then the clients started calling a couple of weeks later.
Right.
I would go to the office by myself. I would be in that building alone,
Right.
answering the phones. People would be calling. Brides would be like, my wedding's in June. What's going to happen? What do
I don't
I
have
know?
the answer.
What
Yeah.
do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. So okay, well, I want my money back. Okay, that's a whole other conversation. Because,
I know how that works.
you know
Cash
how
flow.
that works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in a startup.
Yeah.
20 was the year that I was actually supposed to see, after 2
Profit.
years
Yeah.
and $1 million into this
And that's
thing.
that's a short time,
Yeah.
right? Usually 5, at least 5, right?
Well, again, it hit it right. It was the right place at the right time.
Right.
For a stale industry.
Right.
And figure Long Island would have great waterfront properties.
Right. Now, were deposits
not
big on
many.
weddings or
About $1 million
in deposits?
in deposits. Yeah. And everybody's like looking for their money back because
Right.
nobody knows what's
Right.
going on. I gave everybody their money back.
Right.
All of it. Every penny.
Right.
Either they postponed,
Right.
they rescheduled.
They worked would you say what's the percentage of people that worked with you and understood this
I would
isn't your
say-
fault?
Well, half for sure.
Yeah. But then the other half
But then
didn't
you
give a
got
shit.
25% that were, flip flopping, and you had 25% that just wanted their money back straight up. And as it progressed through the months, we keep pushing these weddings back. They would more and more people would just say, "Screw it, I'm eloping," or "We're going to get married at City Hall," or "We're going to do this, we're going to do that."
Right.
Just give me my money back.
Oh.
And business insurance, interruption insurance, as I learned, viruses were written in 2009 in most policies.
Shut up.
From the bird flu. Remember the bird flu?
So then you don't get stopped your insurance.
So only way business interruption insurance covers you is if there's physical damage to the property now. That's been a change from what I understand in 2009
Wow.
to the industry.
Wow.
And there was no insurance. Nobody, nothing. No, still had to pay the mortgage. Staff, what was they going to, we don't know how long this is going to happen.
Right. No,
So
I
they were
remember,
telling us, you didn't know. So what was I going to
And
lay
there was no
everybody
talk
off?
of PPP then.
I carried
Yeah.
I carried my insurance. I carried all that stuff for people.
Yeah, because you're
I
waiting for
still
like the
paid
day to
them.
say, all right,
yeah,
go
like,
back to
okay,
work.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I remember.
And it just kept dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging. So it was crazy.
So then when did that opportunity that we talked about happen? Was it, what
So
would you say? I was like March, right? Is that when
That
it
was
shut down?
March, yeah.
So now you're going through.
In June, I
April.
opened up the restaurant inside the Piermont on the patio outside.
So you had a restaurant inside.
We just tried it. We're
Right.
like, screw it. What am I doing?
Right.
It's June. It's nice outside.
Right.
They were allowing open air dining.
Right.
So I said, screw it. We tried it.
Right.
And it was cool.
Right.
Didn't make much money. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but it was expensive.
Right.
To operate. It wasn't a lot of people, but it kept us working and busy. And then I got a opportunity to fulfill a contract somebody else had won.
Okay.
For the city of New York. It was a food program for the elderly inside New York City. Mm-hmm. And we wound up getting this contract subbed out to us, and we turned our catering hall into a food factory, like literally producing anywhere from 90,000 to 125,000 meals a week out of the Piermont. A week. Fuck. That's awesome. Wild. It was
And
wild.
that's not what your forte was.
No,
Your forte,
it was
well,
a whole-
technically,
yeah.
I guess it was because you're producing on wedding days. And
Yeah,
stuff
but
like that,
not like this.
Not like
man.
that. That's
Not like
mass
this.
production.
Mass production. Yeah. So in the height of COVID, I had my ballroom in September filled with like 60 people. No one knew what we were doing. We couldn't get cake out tins. You couldn't get gloves. You couldn't get the I forget the term. Was it PPE? Protective gear, mask,
okay,
gloves,
right. Yeah,
all that
that's all
kind of,
sold
I forget.
out shit. Yeah.
Yeah, people were buying
Goggles.
it. Yeah, goggles,
Face
all-
visors.
yeah. So it was, and that was a learning experience as I was doing it. You just, you're dealing with Cisco, and the numbers are ramping up. You know how many? You're talking about 125,000 meals each meal came with an apple. So let's just say,
Right.
So you have to have 125,000 apples. Like, where do you get 125,000 apples? Like the concept of it was mind-boggling. Like how big is a space to need for 125,000 apples?
Right.
It was like crazy. Right. So
and that's just one thing.
That was just one thing, yeah. And then we started dealing. Andrew was very good at this stuff. We started getting contacts with shipping containers, and we were buying containers right from China, full of the takeout tins.
Okay.
So we just kept driving the price down by doing these types of things.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it wasn't making much money, but it was working, and we were getting paid, so money was coming back into the company, and we were starting to pay our bills again and all this stuff. And eventually, we drove the price of this individual meal down by making deals and buying direct from China. Went right to Tyson for chicken and right to suppliers and cut out everybody in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's when we started to make some money. And then from there, it really took off.
How many months did you do that?
A year.
A whole year.
A whole year.
So basically,
a year.
It probably took.
And then after that, we subbed it out to somebody else because they extended it.
Really?
And I had somebody else producing it for us
At another location.
Somebody that did this for a living.
Right.
That's what they do. They make meals like this. So we just took a percentage, and that went on for another 6 months.
I always wonder, how do you cook that much?
It's wild. It's amazing.
There's you have X amount of it's like an assembly line, I guess, right?
We had 3 assembly lines going into 3 assembly lines.
Like how big of a pot of sauce?
Yeah, it's wild. It's just 24 hours a day. It was just constant.
God.
It was, we had to make the menus. We had to do the nutritional value. You had to have labels on it. You had to have collation. Each 6 meals in one.
Oh my God!
In one bag,
and not mess that up.
Yeah. First, we did them in boxes, and then we realized it was cheaper to do it in bags.
Right.
It was easier to transport in the bags, and we just kept driving it down and getting better at it.
Did the gas and electric company call you and be like, "Is everything all right over
there?"
They
listen. No one cared.
Yeah, because money was
coming in. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were. It was a wild. And day one, very first day of operation, my chef, executive chef, and again catering chef,
right.
But he's pretty crafty. Is walking outside, trips over a forklift, and breaks his arm. Oh. So my quarterback goes down on day one of this whole operation.
Oh my
it was
God!
What the fuck?
Was he still able to cast it up and still coach the team?
I had to drive him to the hospital. He was back in the kitchen with his arms purple. I'm like, "You're going to the hospital. Let's go."
Oh, but after we got
the staff, he was gone for 2 weeks. He had surgery.
Oh shit!
And we his staff, testament to him, was
right.
trained well, and we pulled it off. I have a great team around me.
Well, that I stress that. So if without that, where are you?
Yeah,
right.
You have to have it.
I think people forget that.
Yeah.
So
and the PPP money came in. It was earlier than that year. That stretch that got me to that September point where I got this contract.
Right.
That first
and then
round.
basically by then the weddings were starting to be allowed.
Yeah. Then we started in September of 20. What was that?
22.
22.
Oh, 21. No, because it happened in 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, lockdown.
Yeah.
21.
And then it slowly,
right.
started to pick up again. And it was
such a crazy
but
story.
I did make good money, through that process.
Well, that's
we earned that money. I mean, it was a 24-hour
But it's not like you
operation.
just, like I said, you had to really figure it out and fly by the seat of your pants.
Trailers in the parking lot, freezers in the parking lot. I
Outsourcing.
had to go to the village. They were like, "What the fuck? What are you guys doing down there?" I got like 15 tractor trailers in the parking lot.
Oh my God!
They're like, "You can't do this." I'm like, "If I don't, what do you think's gonna happen?"
Yeah, try getting your property tax.
Again, the village is awesome to me, and they worked with me, and we got that permission.
Well, you still work with the village, right? You do a lot of their events and stuff like
course,
that. Like
of course.
you're a community guy. It's
definitely.
It's our home.
It is our home.
So it's amazing what you've done.
Yeah.
Now you're making money. Now, then did you go and build out Arlo? When was Arlo built out?
I started building Arlo in the spring of 21.
21. So once you start seeing all right, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
I could start to get some money put
making
away.
money. Yeah, put some money away.
Let's take another risk.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
Why not? Yeah.
So
double down on Arlo.
So now you build all, and if anyone hasn't been to Arlo yet, place is stunning.
Yeah.
Like I took Alyssa there for last year's birthday.
Right, birthday,
yeah. And she loved it. Of course, get all the Instagram photos, and we got to get Aiden over there to take some
that
video.
place snowballed as I was building. I didn't expect to build that kind of masterpiece, which I think it's a work of art.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, as we were building it, we're like, wow, because the location is very unique. It's on a hill. It's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
You know, it's outside the village. It's not anywhere that
You're not
would
getting
be
street signage there.
high.
It's more
Yeah,
like who knows about it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was making us nervous in the beginning, but as we were building it, you could see it coming together. You're like, wow, actually, this place can really be
Do something.
Yeah. And then when I build something, build something, you kind of it morphs. It's not a set kind of concept. It kind of develops as I go, how I finish things like your ceilings and how, the corners meet and just everything, all the products that we buy researched and samples and going into the office, into the building and just staring
that's a tremendous
at it,
amount of work.
around.
I mean, I
wild.
see, clients of ours when we're building a bathroom, have struggle.
These are 10,000 square foot buildings.
That's insane.
It is insane.
With bathrooms, with backsplashes, with different ceiling decorations. The bar alone. I mean, how much time goes into building a bar?
It's wild. My contractor says to me when we were doing Piermont, and I was like, "Oh my God, the cost." He's like, "Steve, you know what your problem is?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Square footage." And these buildings that I build are just Piermont's 25,000.
Right.
Each one of the two restaurants are over 11,000 each.
Wow.
And then the temple is probably 9,000. So these are big projects.
It's crazy. Yeah. So now Arlo gets built. How long would you say Arlo takes to get built?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. And then you open up. And how long?
December of 16. December 16th.
16th of 22?
22, yeah.
Okay. So then how long after that did you say, I have another great idea?
Oh, I already was involved in it.
I knew you did, but like what was the...
Wait, yes, I bought it. As I was building Arlo, I bought the carriage house with Andrew, and I put our money together, and we bought that with another friend, Larry.
Right.
We bought the property and operated it as the carriage house, which I hated. I really hated the place. Mm-hmm. I only wanted it because it was down the block from the Piermont. And when I talked to this woman about buying it, she, I guess, didn't take me seriously. It was just kind of like blowing me off.
It was one woman owned it?
Yeah. It kind of bothered me.
Right.
So I really kind of bought it on spite because I was like,
because you told me you can't. Now I'm gonna.
Yeah, now I'm gonna. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's how it kind of. So I bought that while I was building Arlo. And I was trying to get Arlo open in more like May,
so
June.
You didn't even know Arlo was going to be a success.
I already doubled down
bastard.
into another one. Yeah. It was pretty scary.
Oh, my God.
So we were supposed to be done sooner. Obviously, Arlo, I'd like to open it up earlier.
Right.
And then close the carriage house. But it took me all the way till December to finish it. So I operated the carriage house, closed it in December, opened Arlo, closed the carriage house, and gutted that building. And that took me another year and a half.
Fully renovated the James.
Fully renovated, yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Thank you.
The place is beautiful. Like, everyone loves it.
Yeah.
It's and it's such a cool spot because, like, you're probably one of the only restaurants that also has valet parking.
We are the only restaurant
in Babylon,
in the
right?
village.
Like, I've never heard of that ever. So, like, that alone.
That's because I have my own parking lot.
That's
you
why.
can't valet off property.
Right.
And most of these guys have, strips or, they're in a strip mall type situation on Main Street.
Right.
But I have my own parking lot, so I can valet within my lot.
It's awesome.
But there's a code you can't valet off the lot.
Gotcha. I see.
So that's why I'm the only one.
Yeah. But the James is a huge success already. Like almost like
fun.
day one. Like, I'll knock on 1-2 for you. Yeah. But like I said, we go there as much as we can. We love it. Yeah. And it's simply amazing.
It's nothing like Babylon's ever seen before.
No.
I mean, Monsoon was a nice place when it opened up.
I did the door at Monsoon.
Yeah.
The sushi rolls are good.
They didn't handle it very well.
I don't think all the focus from the Bolsons were on that. I think it was more they had the Prime and Tellers, and I think
that was the first building I tried to buy before the carriage house.
Well, you
they
definitely
wanted retarded money.
Yeah, you definitely got the right building because that you wouldn't be able to valet or nothing. That would be another tough sell.
They have a lot,
a small lot though.
Yeah. But they also had the lot right behind them.
Right. Okay.
I like my spot better.
Yeah, your spot's.
I do like that building though.
It is a cool building. Yeah. We actually fixed the boilers in that building. They have like a crazy automated system that is kind of way overthought.
That whole building is beautiful inside. The way they built it out. Put big money in that.
I think Richie Gels did the plumbing there. He's the one of the guys in the building. He owns all Suffolk Plumbing, and He's an awesome guy too. But yeah, the James, Arlo, the Piermont, and this temple. I'll probably never go to the temple because
Probably not.
but it's cool that you own it.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing. And once again, when we have kids come in and you talk to them, I think they have that sense of hope because, like the one kid that we have, his name is Rich. I won't say his last name. When I met him and his mom came to the meetings with him, he's, my mom wants me to be an HVAC guy. My mom wants me to be HVAC. And like just 5 minutes talking to him and my wife speaking to him too, like he's not going to be an HVAC guy. That's not in the cards for this kid. And
Why? Why do you say that?
just because he's very soft spoken. He's more of definitely a people person. Right. He's a good talker, and we said I think you would fit better more hospitality, right. And that's when
is he working for me now?
He is.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So he actually called me last week because something happened with the schedule.
Okay.
And he didn't know he was supposed to work, and he didn't show up, not knowing. And
really?
He texted me. He was really upset. He goes, I'm like, listen, you don't have to answer to me. I said, and it's an honest mistake. I said, just talk to whoever it is. I'm not sure who his boss was.
Jonathan.
Probably Jonathan.
Yeah.
And
you know Jonathan.
And just tell him. That's right. I do know Jonathan.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's on an app.
Yeah, I know. So
we'll give him a pass.
So you guys gave him a pass, and I gave him a pass as well. And he's like, it'll never happen again. So he sees the opportunity that you gave him. So it's good. Even though he considers like just bussing or waiting tables.
Yeah,
but that could turn into
you never know
what you have.
Yeah, I started as bussing tables.
So cool.
Actually, riding my bike to the pizzeria and dishwashing.
Right.
With my buddy. Yeah, right. 13. Back then, I mean, I don't think I'd let my 13-year-old ride his bike to.
No way, not today.
To a pizzeria to dishwash anymore, but
no.
That's all that we've gotten soft like that.
You think it's was soft or the world is, kind of turned?
I don't think the world's any different
than what it was
when we were kids. I mean,
I guess so. I guess social media just see more of
exposes it more.
Yeah, so maybe that's
maybe,
what it is.
But I don't think it's any different. I think it's just as crazy as it ever was.
I hope we don't soften up our kids too much. We're trying to unsoften them.
I think that's
with the charity.
That's
we're trying
what
to
I'm definitely hard on my kids.
Yeah, no,
not too hard, but
that's important.
Yeah, you have to be. You can't just let them. They're spoiled as it is in this world. They are spoiled. My kids are spoiled.
Yeah,
but they're going to be working for. My daughter's coming to work in September. She's 12.
Right. Yeah, but you're going to teach them the same way you would taught. The same way my kids. You will learn from the ground
silverware outside of my office.
Yeah. Wait, didn't you say she was already? Or was that your wife was doing that? She was saying polishing silverware that one night. She was talking to Liz. Tell that she was helping
talking
out.
About because during COVID,
right.
Towards before when they were telling us we can only do 50 people, which is another brilliant idea.
Right.
I was kind of cowboying at that time, and I did some parties for parties that. I had no choice but to do these parties because of the amount of deposit money.
Right.
And they were willing to do it, and I was willing to do it. I was like, let's do it.
Roll the dice.
And I did like 5 or 6 of those.
Okay.
And the SLA finally sent me a letter saying, hey, Otso, we know what you're doing over there.
Yeah.
We're coming around. So,
oh, shit.
So I had to stop doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then finally it opened up.
It's amazing.
It was a wild time. Wild to live through. Scary.
And now it's like, you hate to live like you're waiting for a shoe to drop because that's no way to live. But like, you're definitely more prepared now if God forbid something were to happen.
I don't think anything.
You're hedged pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think that the public would ever tolerate. I mean, a certain percentage would.
That again.
I don't think so.
No way.
I know I wouldn't.
Right. No, I agree.
But they have you, especially in my business, because they have my liquor license.
That's right.
They could rip that, and then it's over for me.
Yeah, no, that's no good.
Yeah. I have to live a very clean life.
Yeah.
I do.
Behave yourself.
I behave myself. Because that liquor licenses that's it, man.
Yeah.
Without that,
you have nothing.
Am I going to have a bring your own beer party?
No.
A wedding, bring your own?
There are restaurants that do that. You bring your own wine bottle probably, but it's not what you have.
Yeah, that would not work for me.
No, definitely not. Even like you said, everything you have there was thought of and thought out, and even like to the bartenders' outfits, like so professional, so it's, and the drinks are good. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm happy for you.
I got a great staff.
Yeah.
I mean, my management staff that have been with me for a long time now, and I give them all the credit. Obviously I take the credit,
Right.
because they work for me,
Right.
and their ideas are my ideas, and so to speak,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it's a group effort, and
Yeah, you didn't get there alone.
no,
It's the
never.
same thing with my guys. Like my guys, like I know one of my supervisors. He messes with me all the time because he says I'm crazy, and he's been saying I'm crazy since I hired him 10 years ago. But like it wasn't that long ago where he said, all the crazy shit you said we can do and we're gonna do, you're doing.
Yeah.
Like I would follow you. So like that's really what it comes
Yeah.
down to. It's you don't want to just say you're gonna do something, not do it. But you want to say it and do it.
Do it,
and then
yeah.
people are gonna believe in you more because I'm gonna do what I say.
Yeah, when I took Andrew to the Venetian the first time, it was February of 16. I was like, let's go. We're going to get a walkthrough. I got a schedule to walk through the building, and I want to show it to you. Because he was the one I wanted to bring with me,
The Venetian, which one?
which was John Anthony's.
the John Anthony. That's
Yeah.
what- oh, so that's what it was.
It
Okay,
was in between. John Anthony sold it.
Right.
I went to the Venetian, and then I bought it at the
I
Venetian.
gotcha.
And he's following me there, and he's on the phone. He's like, where are you taking me? We're
Right.
driving through developments. He has no idea.
Oh,
It's
he's not from
freezing out.
Babylon?
No.
Where's he
He's
from?
never been there.
Oh, really?
And then we pull up to this building, and it was in rough shape. It wasn't really maintained all
Right.
that well.
Just trust me. Think about
Yeah,
this.
just trust me. And we did the walkthrough, and he's looking around, and the place was so ugly. My God.
Yeah.
It was gaudy, like a Greek nightmare. It was like gaudy fabrics and just ugly. It was just plain ugly.
I remember. Yeah.
How it did even.
I
did
went to a
business.
few weddings at that
It
place.
smelled. It was maintenance was terrible. It had like a mildew smell to it because it was leaking.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, "You're out of your mind." I'm like, "Trust me, bro.
Yeah.
This is your future.
Right.
This is it.
Right.
This is your opportunity.
Just trust me.
Trust me and come with me on this."
Right.
And he did.
And he did.
And it's history from there. It's been a wild ride. I mean, we went from zero to $20+ million a year in 5 years, 6 years.
You actually went from 0 to negative.
Yeah, negative, yeah,
Quick.
yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then came back.
That's another message that we try to we talk about in the meetings is you have these opportunities and things may start off good and then go bad, and I think a lot of people give up after that, and the people who truly are successful are the ones who take their beatings and their licks and get back up and try it again.
And you have to have a good wife. My wife is the best.
I believe in that as well.
She really kind of went with it too, because she was, we were starting to have kids. I mean, I left one job and started at Carlisle while my wife was about a month away from giving birth because it was a good opportunity. It was a
Right.
scary thing for me to do because I had a good job.
But she believed in you.
She did,
Yeah.
and I said, "This is a good opportunity. I think I can do something with this."
Right.
And I made that change, and I took less money to do it.
Right.
And because I just felt it was the right move.
Well, 2 steps
at
back
the
to make
time.
5
Yeah,
steps forward.
Exactly, and it turned out to
No
be
one understands that
the
concept.
right thing to do.
No, I don't think many people understand
Yeah.
how that works.
It does. You have to sometimes.
To get ahead, you have to give a little
Yep.
to get more.
Yep. So I took a step back and then just blew up from there. And she was with me the whole time. When I first met my wife, I came out here. I had nada. I mean, I was the crane thing.
Right.
I was like, I wasn't working. I'm like, what am I doing now? I was like, I'm out of this industry. I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And I was thinking about going into something else. I was 37. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then I met Christina, and she's been like, just such a wonderful person. She really is. And she's been behind me the whole time. She just, go, do it, do it, do it, do it. Every move I made, and she was right there.
Well, that's important too.
Yeah. She
Could
didn't
you
give me a
imagine?
hard
You wouldn't be
time.
able to do it if you didn't have that.
No.
She's like,
No.
you're crazy. No. Like,
Yeah.
No.
And the motivate. Yeah, I mean, they all thought I was crazy when I was trying to buy between the two properties, $8 million to buy those buildings. That's like, I'm the son of a plumber, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm from Deer Park. What are you
Right.
doing? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? People
No.
are like, what are you out of your mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
are you-
am.
what are you-
I am a
there's
little
no
crazy.
way you're going to be able to pull this off. I was like, okay,
Yeah. Watch me.
watch.
And you
And
did.
it took me 2 years to do it, but I did it.
It's amazing.
I did it. Did not give up. I just kept going at this guy, going after him.
Yeah.
Yep. And my wife was behind me the whole way,
Persistence.
which was good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good podcast.
Yeah.
That story's awesome. I love hearing it every single time. I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
We're gonna have to advertise that one. People probably think you're nuts.
Yeah, it was an interesting story, no doubt.